Here's Brody Brazil.
5 straight defeats to start San Jose's hockey season. Now, we knew this was a process. It was a project. It was something that would take time. I don't think anybody was expecting a winless start to their season like this. Even some frustrations boiling over tonight. I'm going to play you the clip of Nico Sturm in case you missed it on Postgame Live. I'll let you hear what David Quinn had to say. Used a certain F word to describe his team. No, come on. Maybe I shouldn't have sold it like that. Not that one, but used a word that, hockey players, they know that's a button being pushed. And you've got to understand and sense some frustration in a bunch of new people trying to make good first impressions. Nico, one of them. He was just on the Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche. David Quinn, his second head coaching opportunity in the National Hockey League. Mike Greer's watching all of this from near and far. And everybody's trying to put a good early stamp on this, but 0-5, and the way games are playing out. Usually, decent start. Really rough second period, and then the inability to get anything going in the third period. Sharks have been outscoring their opponents in the first 5 games 6-1 in the first periods. They've scored the first goal 4 straight games now. You know the math. Generally, you win about 70% of NHL games where you score first. That's just what the numbers say, and that goes back a lot of teams and a lot of years. Generally, you will win about 70% of the time when you light the lamp first, and they've been doing that. So what happens from there? Nico talked about it in his interview, which, again, I will play for you. You have to expect a pushback by opponents or strategy changes or the fact that you cannot rest on a 1-goal lead or even a 2-goal lead like they've had against Chicago on Saturday night. Second periods, getting outscored 12-2. I mean, there's 2 things to focus on here. No goals in the third period yet this season. 5 games, no third period goals. They've been outscored 6-0. And yeah, some empty netters thrown in there too, but it's less about what opponents have scored in the third versus the Sharks have yet to even score a third period goal. We could also look at the lack of scoring by different lines. 3 straight games, no top 3 line has scored a goal, if you want to call them that. And you're looking at like Timo Meier, another 3 shots tonight. He's been averaging 4 or 5 shots per game. Little snake bits, still looking for that first goal of the season. I hate to pinpoint different areas. How about the power play? Now 1 for 19 after going 0 for 3 tonight on the man advantage. They're getting these opportunities, they're getting these chances, they're drawing these penalties and just not able to do anything with them. And on the flip side, right, I thought Kaapo Kähkönen on Saturday night, even though the Hawks scored 5, I thought he played pretty well. I thought he gave the Sharks at least his best effort, and they put him in some rough situations, 2-on-1s, 1-on-nones. But again, if you're only going to score 2 every night, if you're the Sharks, how many times are you going to give yourself a chance to win? They're scoring, and I've got this memorized. Their scoring by game goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. They've yet to net 3 in a single game this season. And so there it is right there. I mean, defense has been rough in certain spots, shabby in others. It's been good. On the penalty kill, it's been perfect still. But lack of scoring is what's going to bite this team, quite honestly. And yeah, it doesn't get any easier playing the Rangers on Thursday night. And after that, you get the Devils and Flyers on a back-to-back. So if Saturday doesn't go well, by the way, it's a 9:30 a.m. pregame show on Saturday. So, the whole body clock issue on Saturday, and then a quick turnaround against the Flyers on Sunday. This is a difficult road trip, but this is one where you got to come back home with a victory. And think about this. It'll be considered a successful trip if you can get 2. But the problem is you need to get 2 out of the next 3 now after losing tonight to the Islanders. Sturm for captain. By the way, I literally have to tell my brain every time I say Nico Sturm, I have to say, don't say Marco. You know what I'm saying? It's a muscle memory in the brain, even from all those years ago. Nico, not Marco. Tony says, Sharks fans have to stop hasty judgments and let this team develop a new chemistry. It'll take over 30 games to create a new team identity. It's a slow evolution. Impatience sucks right now. I agree with you, Tony. And I think there's two things going on. Some fans, the casual fans, and not largely any of you watching because you're here on this stream, so you are dedicated to a large extent. But some casual fans will look at the team and say, "Wow, Couture, Vlasic, Carlson, Timo, Hurdle, like this is the same Sharks team as yesteryear." But quite honestly, the franchise, like if it was a car under the hood, it looks a lot different. It might still be a teal car by color, but what powers it, what makes decisions for it, the systems in it, totally different than it was last season. But I also want to say, and to your point, it's not going to be where this team starts that everybody will remember or that's important. Quite honestly, it's how this team finishes by the end of this season. And by the end of this season, they may look a lot different with Necklund, with a Bordeleau, with a Ryan Merkley. And let's hold our horses in thinking that those are all season saviors or franchise saviors. To your point, like this is a growth process and it is going to take that time. I think for any of us, we understand it is a new era of Sharks hockey, but that new era, I don't want to say starting from scratch, but that new era has some serious things to figure out still. So I think that's where we find ourselves. And the process is interesting and the future gets more interesting. And do I think they've already deserved a chance to win a game? Probably. Not necessarily tonight. I think the second and third games, against Nashville and against Carolina, okay. Against Chicago, nope. Broke down defensively against the Islanders tonight, nope. Didn't deserve it. And the first game against the Preds, nope. So 5 games they've been into, they've been well out of 3. I really just think that it's one of those deals right now where you got to get to that first win to kind of get that weight off your shoulders and let everybody breathe. And then some of the goals are going to start to happen. And Timo's going to score a hat trick in Game 7. This, what you're seeing right now is not the full scope of reality. It is part of the story of where they're at, but I think we can all agree this is not 100% who the Sharks are or where they're at right now. Okay? That's my feeling. Tim says, I've been with the Sharks since 92. If I could survive that season, I can get through any season.